The Loyalty Revolution: How Staying True to Yourself Transforms Everything. Have you ever wondered what happens when you finally stop abandoning yourself? When that voice inside you, the one you've silenced for years, finally gets to speak? When your own needs stop being footnotes in the story of your life? I recently had the profound privilege of interviewing Cosette Smith, a visionary whose work has fundamentally reshaped how we understand human resilience and transformation. Her insights, particularly her work with Black women navigating life's most challenging transitions, have revealed something truly revolutionary, something that changes everything about how we approach change itself. Cosette Smith isn't just a thought leader, she's a soul liberator. Her methodologies have helped hundreds of women reclaim their power after experiences of abandonment, trauma, and loss. What makes her work so groundbreaking is her fundamental assertion that transformation doesn't begin with external circumstances, it begins with an internal revolution, a loyalty revolution. Think about it. We're taught from childhood to be loyal to everything and everyone else: our families, our communities, our jobs, our partners. But what about loyalty to ourselves, to our dreams, to our boundaries, to our deepest needs? That question sits at the heart of Cosette Smith's illuminating work. Through her extensive experience supporting women through life altering transitions, she's discovered that the most powerful catalyst for change isn't external opportunity, it's internal fidelity. The moment you decide to stop abandoning yourself, she told me, her voice resonating with conviction, is the moment your entire life begins to transform. Let that sink in for a moment. How many times have you betrayed your own knowing, silenced your intuition, pushed aside your dreams because they seemed impractical or selfish? I see those nods. I feel you. We've all been there. Today, we're going to explore three profound truths that emerged from my conversation with Cosette Smith. Truths that might just change everything about how you approach your life's next chapter. First, loyalty to self is the foundation of all meaningful transformation. Second, faith fuels resilience and growth, especially when the path forward seems unclear. And third, true empowerment comes only when we fully embrace our stories, both the triumphs and the traumas. These aren't just nice ideas, they're proven pathways to profound change. And I've got the evidence to prove it. Let's start with Dr. Paulina Cossette, a brilliant Black woman who spent years building a respected career as a professor. From the outside, she had everything: the credentials, the security, the prestige that many dream of. But inside, something essential was missing. Dr. Cossette described to me the growing disconnect she felt between her academic position and her deeper calling. I was living someone else's definition of success, she explained. Every morning, I'd look in the mirror and wonder whose life I was actually living. The turning point came when she realized she was being disloyal to herself by staying in a role that no longer aligned with her evolving purpose. Despite the uncertainty, despite the whispers of imposter syndrome, despite the very real financial risks, she chose loyalty to her vision over loyalty to expectations. That decision wasn't easy. It wasn't clean. It wasn't without dark nights of doubt and fear. But here's what happened. By honoring her true calling and breaking free from expectations that no longer served her, Dr. Cossette successfully launched and scaled an online business that now supports hundreds of clients. She built a community centered on growth and healing. And perhaps most importantly, she rediscovered a sense of purpose that had been slowly suffocating in academia. Her journey exemplifies what Cosette Smith means when she talks about loyalty to self as the foundation of transformation. It's not about selfishness, it's about alignment, it's about integrity with your own soul. Now, this kind of loyalty doesn't just transform individual lives, it transforms communities. Consider the Fort Wayne Urban League. Led by Black professionals deeply committed to empowering marginalized communities, this organization faced systemic barriers, limited resources, and deeply entrenched inequities. The odds were stacked against meaningful change, but their leadership maintained unwavering loyalty to their mission. They kept faith in the potential of their community when others had given up. They refused to abandon their vision even when progress seemed painfully slow. The result? Expanded reach, increased access to opportunities, measurable change in the lives of Black residents, new initiatives in education and workforce development, greater community engagement, and significant influence on regional policy. Their story illustrates Cosette Smith's second key insight: faith fuels resilience and growth. Not blind faith, not passive faith, but active faith, the kind that keeps you moving forward when the path is unclear, when obstacles seem insurmountable, when others tell you to give up. This kind of faith isn't about waiting for divine intervention. It's about trusting your journey enough to take the next step, even when you can't see the entire staircase. It's about believing in your capacity to grow through difficulty rather than just endure it. As Cosette Smith puts it, faith is the muscle that turns trauma into transformation. I love that image. Faith is a muscle, something that strengthens with use, something that enables movement, something that can be developed through consistent practice. But here's where things get really interesting. Both loyalty to self and faith in your journey culminate in the third truth. Empowerment comes from embracing your full story. Dr. Cassette didn't hide the messy parts of her transition. She didn't pretend the doubt and fear weren't real. Instead, she incorporated those challenges into her narrative. She owned her experiences, the victories and the setbacks, and that ownership became the source of her authority. The Urban League didn't minimize the painful realities of systemic inequity. They acknowledged those truths while simultaneously holding space for possibility. By embracing the full complexity of their community story, they gained the power to help write its next chapter. This is what Cosette Smith means when she talks about the empowerment that comes from embracing your story. It's not about toxic positivity, it's not about ignoring pain or pretending everything is fine when it isn't. It's about integration, it's about wholeness, it's about refusing to disown any part of your journey because every part has contributed to who you are becoming. When you embrace your full story, you stop wasting energy, hiding, or apologizing for your experiences. That energy becomes available for creation, for service, for joy. Now, I can almost hear what some of you are thinking. That sounds nice, but my story includes things I'm not proud of: mistakes, failures, times I let myself or others down. Yes, mine too. But here's what Cosette Smith would tell you: those chapters don't disqualify you from transformation. They're often the very soil from which your most meaningful growth will emerge. The question isn't whether your story includes difficulty. Of course it does. You're human. The question is whether you'll allow those difficulties to define you or refine you. This brings us to the heart of what makes Cosette Smith's insights so powerful. They're not just philosophical concepts, they're practical pathways to living differently. I'm reminded of something profound Cosette Smith shared during our interview. She said the soft girl era isn't about weakness, it's about the strength to prioritize your own well being without apology. For those unfamiliar with the term, soft girl era represents a movement particularly resonant among Black women who have spent years in survival mode, leading teams, raising families, holding down households, carrying communities. It's about shifting from constantly grinding to finally grounding in joy, peace, softness, and self prioritization. This isn't about aesthetics or trends. It's about a spiritual, emotional, and mental recalibration. It's about dropping the superwoman cape and recognizing that softness is not weakness. It's a radical act of self love. As Cosette Smith eloquently puts it, soft girl era is the sacred space where strong Black women unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve without guilt, without apology, and without explanation. This perspective adds another dimension to our understanding of loyalty to self. Sometimes the most loyal thing you can do is give yourself permission to rest, to heal, to be soft in a world that taught you survival. The stories of Dr. Cosette and the Fort Wayne Urban League remind us that transformation is possible, not despite our challenges, but often because of how we choose to meet them, with loyalty to our deepest truths, with faith in our capacity to grow, with the courage to embrace our full stories. So here's my challenge to you today: identify one area where you've been abandoning yourself. Just one. Maybe you've been silencing your intuition about a relationship that no longer serves you. Maybe you've been postponing a dream because it seems impractical. Maybe you've been neglecting your physical or mental health while taking care of everyone else. Whatever it is, I want you to make a commitment right now. A commitment to take one concrete step toward loyalty to yourself this week, not someday, not when things settle down, this week. Because revolution doesn't happen in theory, it happens in practice, it happens in choices, it happens when we decide that our loyalty to ourselves is non negotiable. And here's what I know for certain: when you stop abandoning yourself, you become capable of showing up for others in ways you never could before. Your loyalty to self doesn't diminish your capacity for connection, it deepens it. Your faith in your journey doesn't make you selfish, it makes you sustainable. Your embrace of your story doesn't make you self absorbed, it makes you authentic. This is the paradox that Cosette Smith's work illuminates so beautifully. The more deeply we commit to our own transformation, the more powerfully we can contribute to the transformation of our world. So I ask you, what might become possible in your life, in your relationships, in your work, in your community, if you made the revolutionary choice to stay loyal to yourself? What healing might unfold? What creativity might emerge? What joy might return? The loyalty revolution begins with a single choice, your choice right here, right now. Will you join it?